Hey everyone, I'm Anthony.
Mark with K.
Raymond.
Mark with a C.
So we just got out of the Halloween Horror Nights 2015, and I figured this week, instead of a movie review, we're going to do a Horror Nights review, also partly because they weren't showing Black Mass like we said we were going to see on Thursday.
We've still got our maps. Not very special, but, so they had quite a few. We had 6, plus the Terror Tram. We had Halloween, Michael Myers Comes Home, Insidious, Return to the Further, This Is the End, that was a 3D maze this year, The Walking Dead, Wolves Not Far, Crimson Peak, Maze of Madness, AVP, same as last year, and then the Terror Tram, which was based on The Purge. Mm-hmm. So I guess we'll start off by talking about Halloween.
Yeah. If you've kept up with this event, they've done it in the past, maybe 4 years ago or so?
Yeah, something about that.
If you've gone through that maze, I could say it's very similar this year. Mm-hmm. They did add in a bunch of new effects, like a Pepper's Ghost of Michael. They've talked about that at Scare LA, and it actually worked pretty well, I thought. And you guys know what that is, right? The Pepper's Ghost.
The one where puts a sheet on, right?
No. Okay, so that's the effect when we would walk through and you would see him kind of popping in the mirror.
Oh yeah.
That's what a Pepper's Ghost is. Which they didn't do the last time they did this.
No, they've never done that. That's the first time they've done it.
And I thought it really it made the maze feel new enough to warrant doing it again. Anyone else want to add anything?
Yeah. I like the maze. I wasn't in front, so I didn't get a lot of the scares. We'll have Raymond talk about that. Visually, you'll get a lot of the same stuff. I thought aesthetically it needed a little bit more stuff on the walls. The last room was actually probably one of my favorite rooms at Horror Nights. Mm-hmm. Should we say what it was, or does it matter?
Spoilers.
Spoilers right now.
Spoilers. If you don't want to know what the last room is,
skip this part.
Skip this 20 seconds. Well, there was... Go. Okay. The last room was actually a little hall of mirrors, which I'm a huge fan of because it's you can't really tell what's what. It wasn't very elaborate, but it was good. It was a little bit of a change up. So that was probably one of my favorite rooms in the maze.
Yeah, that was.
That was one of the newer
additions
that I liked,
I kind of forgot about that for a second.
So that was that. Well, let's hear from Raymond, see what he thought about the scares.
Yeah, so I was in front for Halloween, and I got every single scare that they had. Like that. And it was especially well done, on my part at least, that I loved, just because Halloween is probably my favorite franchise, and that was the first. Michael Myers was probably the first horror serial killer that I was afraid of. Thank you, my sisters, for doing that to me. And everyone, every single room I walked into, they were scaring me from every different angle, every different corner, and it wasn't just Michael coming out at times. Sometimes, it was just his him behind a piece of glass or something, or him popping up out in a field area, down a hallway, and they just kind of illuminate him a bit. And especially, as Mark said, that last room was pretty crazy because there's just a bunch of different Michaels around there that are running around, and if you don't really know which one is real, it can get creepy really quickly because the actors in there are very, very good at their job, and they'll just stand there and wait for you. And I at least got hit twice by the same guy because he came around once, got me just as he turned around, and then walked maybe a couple feet through a few other mirrors and then scared me again.
Nice. Anything to add?
Well, it looks like they said it well. Raymond got the scares. Mark got all about the visual effects. Just even emphasize that last scene, what Raymond said about all the mirrors, and you don't know what's a prop or who's an actor. So that would place your mind seeing who's who. Your mind will play tricks on you. And that's pretty much it about Halloween.
Alright, I would probably rate the maze 4 out of 5.
Yeah, same here.
I'd put that about that.
And definitely a must-see this year. Don't skip it.
All right. Well, Insidious was probably it was the last maze we did.
That 85
I was
million.
pleasantly surprised. They changed up a little bit from last year. They added some stuff from the new movie. I didn't get to watch the new movie, but I guess we'll save the movie references for Tony. I guess I'll just be talking about the maze in general. I really liked it. Audio, speaking from like auditory, yeah, no, whatever. From what I could hear, it was definitely the best sounding maze. Because for me, I get scared when I hear loud noises. They'd like to do this trick where they'll strobe light you and do loud and like a loud crash and then like jump out at you. And this maze played it off really well and had some good talent in there with good makeup, good prosthetics that actually helped bring out the scare in the maze. So it was really good. The props were great. The lighting was done correctly, everything like that. It felt like there was an actual story to it. One of my favorite things, probably just really random, was one room where there were footsteps on the ground and up the wall.
Oh, yeah.
And it actually led to where the scare was going to be. But it's like, it was just like a little detail that I really enjoyed about it, because it's like, it's kind of well planned out in that way, where it lets you know where the scare is going to happen without making it super obvious. It's just kind of a little subtle. It's just a little creepy factor saying that footsteps are on the wall. Like, oh yeah, there are footsteps right there. And then you get a good scare. Really great. One of my favorites of the night. So, I guess I'll throw it to Tony to see what he thought about them, since he'll probably have more to add, because he's actually saw the movies.
Definitely.
All right. Insidious, it was one of probably my second favorite maze. They've done this maze before, I want to say 2 years ago. And that year it was my maze of the year. It didn't really feel like a retread of that. Because they added enough of Insidious 3. That whole effect he was talking about had to do with the man with no lungs from the third movie. But it was kind of like you're walking through all three movies in a sense. Like you're following the storyline from the first two, and then it just kind of naturally goes into the third one. But it was done in a way that it didn't really feel too tacked on, and it came together in the end. I don't want to spoil the ending, but I mean, people that are watching this probably don't care.
Spoilers ahead.
Okay, so the final room, it's pretty much just it's Elise's room, like in her house, and it combines the main antagonists of all three movies into one like final scare. And I thought that really worked, and it was a nice way of like tying the whole franchise together as maze-wise. The costuming was great. The bride I guess. She looked like her movie counterpart. What's that demon's name? The one with the red face is just like a red face.
The Darth Maul.
The Darth Maul demon. Red
Everybody
face
knows
demon.
about Darth Maul, dude.
He was I'd say he was the star of this maze, actually.
Oh yeah, definitely.
His makeup was
like pretty on
actors in that makeup. It was on par with his movie version.
Couldn't tell if it was a makeup or a mask at the time.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's how good it was.
Yeah.
And then lots of musical cues from the movies. Had the Tiny Tim, which I'm kind of disappointed the last couple movies didn't have, but it's nice to hear
a reference of it.
Well, nice to hear Tiny Tim in Insidious again. Yeah. But yeah, overall, really good maze. I quite enjoyed it. Mark?
Yeah, costume aspect wise, I thought it was really up there, really showcased what between the movie and the maze. The maze itself was really good, very detailed into what the further was. I really liked the Darth Maul demon. That costume was really good. I thought it looked like exactly what the movie showed. Good scares. I like how they incorporated all three Insidious movies, so they did not focus on one. That's pretty much it. Raymond?
Yeah. set design, it was probably one of the best of the night so far. One thing, though, that these guys haven't touched on that I really liked was the actual scare zones. There weren't as many packed into the maze, so you kind of got a little break in between each one. So as people were moving naturally through the maze, every single group could kind of get a scare depending on where you were at. So I thought that was pretty good, because not a lot of mazes do that. Now they just kind of flood you. With a bunch of characters and costume monsters that it's quite hard to find a good scare. But I thought that one was really well done.
You want to start us off on This Is the End?
Mark or Raymond?
Sure. I'll start us off on This Is the End. This Is the End 3D. I'm not entirely sure why they brought This Is the End 3D to Halloween Horror Nights. It's questionable at best. Probably not worth the wait that we went in for. It is difficult, of course, to bring in a comedy movie as a horror movie, and you can only really have so many aspects of that one comedy movie in that one maze, and it was pretty short as well. The 3D effects were well done at times, but I just wish there was a little bit more substance to it, and I'll let these guys comment more on that.
Alright, well, I'll take it. It's called Halloween Horror Night. It's not Halloween Comedy Night. The only thing you can have from that movie to put on a maze is, well, that demon. But even that, like, costume or just how it looks is not even remotely scary. So there's that. If you're a fan of 3D mazes, maybe that would make you a little bit happy, but other than that, there's nothing much for it happening. It's not a long wait for it, not a long maze. It really didn't do well for me.
God, what these guys said. The wait was way too long for a really short maze. You had the same one demon scaring you, which in essentially the exact same room every time, which was kind of frustrating for me, because you just open the curtains and there he was again. You'd go 2 rooms over, there he was again.
And it was at the same setup.
It was the same exact setup. He was in a hole in the wall, just 3D. Some things I liked about it were I really liked the little... They had like little posters up of, pictures of James Franco and Seth Rogen, like little paintings and stuff. I thought it was pretty funny. Other than that, like, just recognizing scenes from the movie were pretty fun. One of my favorite cameos was actually in the maze. So I was really happy when I walked out of that. But other than that, not a good maze. I would go if you like the movie, if you enjoyed it, and you want to see like what they did with it. It's not a terrible maze, but it's not worth a 110-minute wait, not worth a 90, maybe like 45, half an hour.
We only waited half an hour, so.
We did?
Yeah, I timed it.
Really?
Yeah.
I lied. If it's worth a half an hour, then it's barely worth it.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's all I had to say.
This is the end. I really don't have much to add. I agree with everything they said. My biggest gripe with it was the one demon appearing in every other room, or more of a hallway. And I just felt it could have used more variety, more scares. It wasn't scary. They tried with what they had, but it didn't work for me. I liked the 3D paint and all that. That was cool, but it's the same setup and style as the Alice Cooper 3D maze, the Black Sabbath. So if you've gone through those, it's very much the same in terms of like art style. And yeah, it just wasn't that great of a maze for me. We only waited half an hour for it, so it wasn't like too big of a loss. If you like the movie, go through it, but I wouldn't recommend waiting like 110 minutes like the sign said it was. There's better mazes this year to go see. If you have the time, then yeah, go for it, but if you're pressed for time, you got here late or whatever. It's a very skippable maze.